welcome back to the UKMF podcast, episode 4. Today we will be speaking about UFC 264. I'm joined, as always, with the casual fan, Kav.
Hello, Spen, how are you?
I'm not too bad, I'm working from home today, so it's been quite a nice day. How have you been?
Not great.
Not, it's not been a,
Had
not been
some
a vibe.
rather angry customers, put it that way. Called lots of rude
Dear,
words.
that is what you want. Were there any ginger insults throughout there, or was it all on the phone?
I was just all over the phone. F you,
Okay.
your... Can't say this word on YouTube, but yeah. Basically,
Nice.
any abusive word you can think of was mentioned in this 4-minute phone call. So yeah,
Solid. That is 4 minutes. That's not very long to get that many insults out.
it's
But
impressive.
yeah. Right, so as I said, today we're going to speak about UFC 264. Realistically, the only reason we're doing this is because it's a McGregor card. We got Cav, who has watched, I'm going to say like 10 UFC events now. Probably more,
Yeah,
but
um, no, I'd say probably around 10-ish.
yeah, I mean, you've been to a UFC event, so it's probably more than what most people have done. So, but
Yeah,
you did look very bored for like the first like 2 hours whilst we were there.
I think it was the pure lack of sleep the night before the event was what made me want to kill myself a little bit.
B&B event the night before. Get home at 6. Get up for the UFC at 9 o'clock in the morning. All were vibing off 3 hours sleep till about midnight the next day.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal, to be honest.
Nah, it was fun. It was fun. Right. So what I've done is I have selected 5 fights that I have told you about. Um, what I'll do is I'll run through all of them, and I will say what I think their strengths are, what I think their weaknesses are, and who I think will win each fight. And then if you have any input if you know any of the fighters, then I'll let you jump in and say what you want.
Sounds good.
Sick. Right, so the first fight that I wanted to look at was Ryan Hall versus Ilya Topuria. I think that's how you say his name. So Ryan Hall I don't think he's fought in about 3 years, but not through no fault of his own. Like, guy's just like some mental jiu-jitsu guy. I think he's won like the world championships like 2 or 3 times. Like, he's just insane, and like no one that's like around where he is in the division, like ranking wise, like wants to fight him. So he just never gets any fights. So it's an even rarer occurrence to see Ryan Hall fight than it is Conor McGregor to fight on this card. But the guy he's fighting he's 10-0, so he's no slouch. He's a decent fighter. He's generally a like a wrestler, but he does also have like a big overhand right. So I think what we're gonna probably see is Ryan Hall probably start off like not slow, but he's probably not nowhere near as confident as the other guy on the feet. I think it'll be a lot of pressure from Tapuria. I actually think it'll be a pretty good fight. I think the risk that Tapuria's got is obviously you don't like he's fundamentally a wrestler and he's got like really good takedowns, but you don't really want to take Ryan Hall down to the mat. So he's kind of got to just hope that he can stop Ryan Hall taking him down and can keep it standing and like just pump a jab in his face.
Who
But
who would you say is the favourite for that fight?
Ryan Hall must be the favourite. I don't know if on the UFC's website you get the odds. No, you don't get any odds on here. But Ryan Hall has to be the favourite. Like, the fact that like no one's like willingly fought him in like 2-3 years. Like, you can't really like guy's just a magician when it comes to like being on the floor.
Has he
So
been trying to get fights during that time?
yeah. So I think he's had like 2 or 3 fall through, but like I reckon the UFC must have offered at least like 10, 15 people to fight, and everyone
Oh,
just says
okay.
no. Like no, like because as soon as it hits the ground, like it's a wrap. Like everyone knows. Like so, I don't know if you've heard of BJ Penn.
Nah.
So he used to be like lightweight and welterweight champion, and Ryan Hall fought him a few years back. Obviously, it was BJ Penn like well past his best at this point, but like it wasn't like particularly competitive. But like it went from being like, oh, this is a fight to just Ryan Hall just got a hold of BJ Penn's knee, and it was just over within like a second of him touching his knee. It was
Okay.
BJ Penn was like tapping out instantly. So I'm gonna take Ryan Hall as my winner of that fight. It's one of them fights where I say it and it could just make me like an absolute idiot, but I'm I'm gonna back him because there's a reason that no one wants to fight that bloke.
Back the
And
boy.
indeed, so yeah, that fight is according to UFC's website. It's on the early prelims. I kind of hope that it's actually on the normal prelims because according to this, there's only 3 fights on the normal prelims, and that's not going to be fun. Because you're watching it with us, aren't you? This time, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm carrying around with all of you to watch
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So obviously, when they run it, like the main card can't start till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Which is always fun.
Indeed.
So be back in a minute.
Yeah. So yeah. So the main card can't start till 3 o'clock in the morning, and I don't really want to have to watch only 3 fights in 2 hours from 1 till 3. There's going to be like so many like promos and ad breaks in between.
Oh yeah, that's
And,
true.
like,
Yeah, because normally it's what, say about 5, 6.
5 or 6, yeah, normally. Like when you think about when we went London, I think there was like 13 fights on that card, and only 2 of them were the early prelims. According to this, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights on the early prelims. So I imagine a couple of them will be bumped up to the normal prelims, and the prelims will be like a bit more stacked out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're just gonna be sitting there
It'd
like,
just be advert after advert after advert run out.
yeah, exactly. Um, the next fight I wanted to talk about is one of the 3 that are on the prelims. It's Nico Price versus Michel Pereira. This should be fight of the night.
And why'd you
Like
say that?
it won't be like the most technical fight, but it hopefully will just be like an out and out brawl. So like Nico Price is just like like a madman. Like he's just a nutter, and he'll do like you'll be like trying to like submit him when he's like on his back, or like ground and pounding him when like when he's on his back, and then all of a sudden he'll just start like throwing like elbows up from the bottom, like hammer fist up from the bottom, just trying to knock you out off of his back and stuff like that. Like the bloke will just like fight through anything and just hit, like he's only looking for one thing, and that's to like knock his opponent out.
Yeah.
So like he's a mad guy, and then Michel Pereira has got the craziest. He's got the yeah.
So you can carry on because you're just talking anyway. So,
Yeah.
but I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, Michel Pereira has got like the craziest fight style out of anyone I've ever seen. Like he like starts like, so he'll like jump off the cage and throw kicks. He'll like his opponent will be like on their back, and he'll like try and do like a backflip onto them and stuff like that. Geezer's just a madman. He's like literally what you would expect to see in like a carnival fight. Like that is what he brings to like MMA.
Oh, okay.
So like there's like no way he'll do like he'll hit like a flying knee like guaranteed at one point in the fight, like try and hit one. Like there's like he'll be mental. He'll just be like dancing around like on his way to the ring. Like it's got there's no reason why it shouldn't be the best fight on the card unless one of them like comes in sensibly, which I don't see happening, and just like methodically like just beats the other one up. But yeah, I've got like high hopes for this fight. So this is the fight, other than the main event, that I'm looking forward to the most.
Oh, okay.
Um, I think it'll be, yeah. I'm really hyped for this fight. I'm gonna take Michel Pereira to win because I think he is, although he's like a carnival madman, like he is somewhat technical, whereas Nico Price literally does look for the finish, like always. But like he looks for the finish, but could also get finished. Whereas
Oh,
Pereira,
okay.
Pereira like seems to like actually think about what he's doing sometimes. Like in his last fight, he's a bit more like methodical and like actually like thought about what he was doing, so he didn't like gas out within like 5 minutes of the fight. But yeah, fight of the night in my opinion. Michel Pereira, if he like actually fights properly, could be like a serious contender in the division as well.
What's his
So
record so
yeah.
far?
Um, well, here's the thing. So he's 25 wins but 11 losses. But like I would put a bet on, obviously like a lot of them losses came before he was in the UFC. But I'd put a bet on like a lot of them losses came from like disqualifications,
Oh,
purely
okay.
purely based off like his just like antics that he like just throws around in the ring, like because yeah, you can't jump on someone, but he'll like backflip and like try and land over them and then land a hammer fist and stuff like that. So if you like land on them and your opponent's like, oh yeah, nah, I can't continue, like you get disqualified, like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So yeah, he's just a nutter, and he probably does like throw like knees at downed opponents and stuff like that, which is again illegal. Like he's just a mad guy, and I just think it's going to be a sick fight. Like there's no way that like like sometimes there's like fights where we like talk through them and then like gets to like the third round and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
does anyone know who's winning? Like there's no way that any of us like won't be watching this fight because it's just going to be sick. So yeah, I am hyped for that fight. And moving on to the main card when the UFC's website loads. Sean O'Malley versus Lewis Smolka. Now, I have to be honest, I don't know too much about Lewis Smolka, and I'm not even sure that he's fighting, so I'm just gonna double check it because I know that O'Malley's opponent, like the original one, pulled out, so they were looking for a new person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's not fighting Lewis Smolka. He's fighting some other guy called. He's fighting someone called Chris Moutinho, and I know even less about Chris Moutinho than I did about Lewis Smolka. But Sean O'Malley has to be the prospect of the night. Like
Okay.
he is not very old. How old? Don't tell me. Don't tell us our age. Well, yeah, he's not very old. He's definitely like between 23 and 25, I'd say, somewhere there. Like he's 13-1. The fight where he lost was, I think it was about this time last year. It was a bit unlucky. He like leg kick, like I think it trapped a nerve in his leg, and it's like he couldn't walk on his leg, and then he like couldn't move, so he just like ended up getting knocked out because he literally couldn't move out the way.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, so he's he is a good fighter. I think the UFC. The issue is obviously when Conor McGregor came along, like the UFC kind of knew that they like struck gold and they had like a star, like as long as they like fed him an easy run to the title.
Yeah.
But then like, it's like, we like now we look back, like he fought like Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, Chad Mendes, like all before he like won the world title. Like we knew that Chad Mendes was like legit, but like Dustin Poirier, we like he was like good, but like no one knew he was like that good. Max Holloway was like in his like third fight in the UFC. Like no one knew how good Max Holloway was going to be. Max Holloway like turns out to be like one of the best like featherweights in UFC history. And I think the UFC got the like same thing when they saw Sean O'Malley. Like, oh, like here's like a kid that we can market, like become our next big star. Issue being the first like legit test that we saw in O'Malley's career. Like he ended up losing.
Yeah.
So like it's almost like evidence in like, oh, the UFC's pushed this like kid too hard, like too quickly. Like if they just like, right, let him have like 4 or 5 years like fighting like not unranked opponents, but like he's only 14 fights into his career. Like a lot of people, that's like a very quick like rise, considering he's had like a few fights in the UFC as well now.
I mean,
Like
and he's still so young, so he can get so many more fights under his name.
yeah, exactly. And like realistically, like fighters, their prime is like 28 to like 32.
Yeah.
Like that's when like fighters are at their best.
So that's
Like
basically when your body is nearly, like, well, basically fully developed as
yeah,
much
it's
as
like
it can be.
yeah, your body's like physical peak is pretty much that age, like them like between them ages. Like, obviously, it depends like when you start like training and stuff first. Because if you
Yeah.
started training at a young age, chances are it's probably going to be like 26 to 30, purely because like the amount of like wear and tear you're putting on your body. So yeah, but like he's still probably like 3 to 7 years off of his prime. Like I don't know if he'll ever be champion, but he will definitely be a top 5 fighter in the future
Yeah.
as long as like the leg issues don't continue. Like if the leg issues continue, then it's obviously a weak point, and it's the route. It's like the blueprint on how you beat him. Just kick him in the legs until like the legs give out. Obviously, it's a dangerous game to play, and in his last fight, he looked like insane again. So I'm gonna pick him because I don't actually know anything about his opponent, but I know that his opponent is supposedly meant to be like a veteran of the game. Like I read that earlier, meant to be like a decent fighter. I don't know what his like style is or anything like that. If he's a wrestler, chances are he's not going to throw that many like leg kicks out there and stuff like
Yeah.
that. O'Malley's like he makes like average strikers look really bad on the feet. So I can't imagine this guy, Moutinho, whatever his name was, like standing all too much of a chance against him on the feet. Like there's not many fighters in the division that are probably like as good at him at like stand up fighting.
Okay.
Um, yeah, like I think you've probably have seen him before,
Yeah, I think I've seen.
like
But
clips of him fighting and stuff like that.
I
So
think I have watched him with you. Like one of my first ever times came around Jaws to watch it. It was quite a
yeah,
while ago.
yeah, he's been fighting in the UFC for like a fairly long time. He had like a injury that I think he was out for like almost like over a year. I think he was out. Um, but he's been on like Joe Rogan's podcast and stuff like that as well. So you might have seen like the
Yeah, I've
episodes with
seen him
them.
on there.
Yeah, I was gonna say like yeah, he's some like pretty like chilled out guy. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Sean O'Malley to win that fight purely based off the fact that I don't know anything about the opponent, and I think UFC would typically probably give him like favorable matchups to like try and like boost his record up a little bit, which is bad when you consider and it's like people punching each other in the face, but like it's just a part of the part of the game. Um, but yeah, there's two more fights that I want to talk about. And it's the co-main first, and then obviously we'll talk about the main, and hopefully we'll be able to have a bit more of a conversation about the main because
That's fair.
yeah, because you've probably seen both of them fight before.
Yeah, I think
Um,
I've seen both of them fight a couple of times now. So
yeah. So we've got the co-main is Gilbert Burns versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I don't know if you've watched Wonderboy fight before. I feel like there's a possibility that you have, but you might not have. Like the name just might not stand out. But
yeah, I don't. I've got a picture.
like Wonderboy's got some like good wins. Like he's beat Masvidal before we saw Masvidal fight Till.
Yeah,
Um, he's fought Till, lost to Till, but a lot of people think that he actually did win. Um, he drew with Woodley when Woodley was champion, and then lost to him in the rematch. But it was like it was like one of the most boring fights in UFC history. If we're being perfectly honest, it was awful. It was awful. It was just terrible.
what made it so just dead?
It was just like Thompson didn't want to like load up on combinations and like so he's like a kickboxer, like karate style kickboxer. So like he didn't want to like unload on combinations because Woodley's got that like one punch knockout power.
Yeah.
Woodley didn't want to like engage in a fight because like technically he wasn't as good as Thompson on the feet. He didn't go for enough takedowns to make it like an interesting like jiu-jitsu match, even though it
Oh,
was
okay.
brilliant.
So it was just they were both
They were,
playing it super safe, not
yeah,
taking
they
any
were. It
risks
was
or anything.
it was literally like if you were gonna watch like a chess match but fighting, that's exactly what it was. It was just like one person would move, then the next person would move, then
Oh,
like, it was
okay.
literally like there was like nothing that was like compelling about that fight. I think Woodley knocked him down in the fifth, and that's what won him the fight pretty much. But it wasn't even like he knocked him down. It was just like he clipped him and he like he went down, and then everyone was like, but like I don't think anyone like truly believed that like he was actually going to finish him after it.
Oh, okay.
So it was just a dead fight. I'm trying to think of who else like Wonderboy's beaten. Yeah, because he lost to Till, he lost to Anthony Pettis, but he was winning that fight. To be fair, he was winning that fight until Pettis just threw some like random Superman punch and managed to knock him out. He recently fought Vicente Luque and Jeff Neal, and he won both of them fights. But Wonderboy is number 2 in the division, and Gilbert Burns is Wonderboy's number 4 in the division. Sorry, Gilbert Burns is number 2 in the division. Gilbert Burns has had like a really really good rise to the top recently. To be fair, I'm pretty sure he used to fight at lightweight, so 155 pounds, and he was always like solid, but like never really like a contender. And then he moved up to 170 pounds, and then around COVID, I can't remember if it was just before or just after COVID, at one of the first events they had back, or one of the last events they had before, he beat Damian Maia, who's been like, they call them like the gatekeepers, so they're like the fighter that you kind of have to beat to be considered like dangerous in that division, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. So like you got to beat a fighter that's not not world class, but also isn't just
Yeah,
some random bum,
yeah, like
basically.
yeah. So like Damian Maia like used to be like insane, and he still is like an incredible like jiu-jitsu guy, but he's like 40 years old now, so he's just like
He's past his prime, basically.
yeah. I mean, he's just like not as good as he used to be. So yeah, he beat him, and then he fought Woodley, and he like dominated Woodley for 5 rounds, and then I think he fought Usman after that, and he lost to Usman in the title fight. I don't know if there was a fight before then or not. I don't think there was. But yeah, he. Everyone says that Colby Covington's had like the closest fight with Usman since Usman's been champion, but Gilbert Burns like rocked him in like the first like 30 seconds of the fight, like probably took the first round off of Usman, and then yeah, Gilbert Burns. I was saying that he gave Usman the most so he gave Usman the most like competitive like first round of his thing. Like he knocked him down, like made him look like he was in trouble, but then Usman like took over in the second and third round, got the finish in the third. So it'll be interesting to see how Gilbert Burns like bounces back from a loss. I think before the Usman fight, I would have taken Burns to win. Because he's just powerful, and if it goes to the floor, like Burns is winning this fight. Like there's no doubt in my mind. Like if it on the feet, it's like 60-40 to Wonderboy.
Yeah.
But if it hits the floor, like I'm 95% certain that Burns will win that fight. Like, but I just don't see how Wonderboy gets back up without being like submitted. Like, it's
Oh,
not going to
okay.
happen. So, saying that, yeah, like mathematically you have to take Burns, but I just have a feeling that Wonderboy might just put like on like a striking masterclass. And if Wonderboy wins, then chances are he'll get a title fight. Whereas if Burns wins, like his last fight was a title fight, so he'll probably have to fight again
Oh, okay.
before he gets a title fight. So based off that, I'm gonna take Wonderboy because I don't know how Burns is gonna like come back after losing such a big fight in his career. And then finally, we managed to get onto the main event.
The two big boys.
the two big boys. You got old Conor McGregor, who won the first fight between the two of them. And then we got Dustin Poirier, who won the second fight between the two of them. That second fight was back in January, I think.
You got
So
battered.
Dustin's obviously got the recent history on his side. So I don't know if you want to say what you know about the fighters
Was Conor's last fight the cowboy fight?
before Poirier, yeah. So
Yes,
yeah,
that was the last V1, wasn't it?
yeah. So it was Cowboy 2020 January, and then
Yeah.
Poirier 2021 January. So like there was a year in between the fights as well. So yeah, obviously they're like fairly like, well, when you look at like their like height and stuff like that, obviously like they have to be the same like weight when they weigh in. But like they're both 5'9". They both, well, Poirier's got a 72-inch reach. Conor's got a 74-inch reach, but he's got like the longest arms in comparison to body ratio that I've seen.
Yeah.
Like is that that's why he's so good at distance management though. And then Poirier's leg reach is 40.5 inches and Conor's is 40 inches. So like it's like when you look at it like that, they're pretty evenly matched up. Yeah, obviously you've probably watched Conor fight more than you've watched Dustin fight.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a mixture. I've seen him, obviously the cowboy fight just absolutely rinsed him.
Yeah.
And then the Poirier fight, he got pretty much battered.
Yeah. I mean,
well, not battered, but it's not what you'd expect from him.
Yeah, like he came out, I think the whole MMA community will say that he came out like because there was rumours of him fighting Manny Pacquiao after the Poirier fight.
Oh, okay.
So I think he came out and almost just wanted to box. Like he didn't want to have like an MMA fight. He just wanted to box and just treat it as almost like really like hard sparring. And Poirier kicked his leg into obliteration and then knocked him out once the leg kicks are built up. Pretty much that is what happened. You'll get some people that will like come in that hate Conor and be like, oh yeah, he got like completely outclassed. But like anyone with like a brain knows that even though it wasn't like a vintage McGregor performance, he did win the first round of that fight.
Yeah.
He won the first round, and he didn't gas out, which is unlike McGregor. But he was taking too much damage over the course of the whole fight, whereas Poirier was taking damage for like the first from like the second minute to the fifth minute.
Yeah.
Whereas Conor was like taking like smaller bits of damage that built up from the first to the eighth, which is why he fundamentally lost that fight.
Would you say Conor's main issue is the lack of fights he has?
Obviously, yeah. There's like an element of ring rust that you can throw out there as a thing. He also, the gym that he fights out of is based in Ireland, and obviously like a lot of obviously the UFC is an American-based company. A lot of the UFC talent are American, so a lot of like the best fighters in the world come from over there. It's like Poirier fights out of, oh god, where does he? He fights out with one of the like elite gyms. I can't remember what it's called now off the top of my head, but he trains with like Masvidal. He trains with people like that, so he's like fighting like he's always like training with like elite level.
Oh, okay, but like, Conor's getting people more sort of local people.
Yeah, like Conor literally like goes into like his old boxing gym, like spars like a few of their like best boxers, but like there's like a lot of like things that like people come out and say like, oh, he's a bit of like a gym buddy, like it's not competitive. Like he's like up here, and like everyone he's sparring's like down here, so like it's not he's not really like gaining anything out of that apart from like inflating his ego, beating people up, and like like vice like. But yeah, he's not gaining any like benefit out of like beating
Yeah.
them people up, if that makes sense. Um,
Who would you say is the favourite skill
I
wise?
I would say that Connor is a better martial artist, but Poirier is a better fighter, if that makes sense. So technique wise, Connor is the better fighter,
Yeah.
but if you were like, oh, this guy's gonna go to war, and like he's still gonna be there, I would back Poirier. Like I think Connor, it's almost like like the school ground like bully who like doesn't mind giving it out, but as soon as something's like thrown back his way, doesn't particularly like it.
Yeah.
Like Poirier will eat like 3 or 4 punches to like land one heavy one back, whereas Connor like wants to throw like 5 or 6 punches, but he wants to get out the way of all the punches, and obviously like that is like the point of fighting. Like you want to get hit or
I
you
feel
want to
like there's a lot of pressure on Connor.
yeah,
Well,
more
it
Connor.
it's a hard one because obviously, is he fighting because he wants to fight, or is he fighting just to make a little bit more money out of it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he just sold his whiskey business for like 330 million like dollars or whatever. So like money shouldn't really be an issue for him at the
Because
moment.
you
But
think if he's coming back fighting, what, yearly so far? Was he with COVID and stuff? It probably would be more than
yeah,
yearly.
yeah.
Is
I
he
mean,
fighting
yeah.
to get
So
back into it, or is he just doing it just for the sake of?
yeah, is it just to keep him like relevant in like
Yeah,
the world? Yeah. Um, I mean, I think this fight he will be motivated. Like he doesn't. One thing about him, like you can't. He hates losing. Like he, like lost to Diaz. Like didn't want to take any other fight. Just fought. Like just wanted to fight Diaz. Came back and like just like, narrowly beat Diaz. Obviously lost to Khabib. Like realistically, since then he hasn't actually shut up about fighting Khabib again. Still wants it now, even though like Khabib's like retired and probably won't ever come out of retirement.
he has no reason to, does he?
No, like, and like even if he did, like he said, like even if he wants to come back, like he'd have to like ask his mum and his mum to say yes for him to do it. He's like, I'm not going to go against the wish of my mum. So the chances are Khabib probably won't come back. Um, so yeah, that's that. And I don't think even if he did, I don't think he would take the Conor fight. I don't think it interests him. I think he's beaten him. He's quite happy to say I quite clearly dominated him 3 rounds to 1 in that fight.
Yeah. Also, Khabib's quite
Um,
a respectful person, isn't he? He can't
yeah,
stand Connor whatsoever because of all the stuff that went on between both of them.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I would say yeah, Connor's the better. Like if you're just looking for like pure technique, like someone on the pads, like you can't take away his credentials obviously because he's like a two-way world champion. Like he is an elite level fighter,
Yeah.
but I don't think he's been fighting enough over the past 5 years for you to confidently put a bet on him. Um, so I'm gonna say that I would pick Poirier to win. Um, I don't think it'll be as early as the last fight if he does knock him out. Um, I think people that are saying that like McGregor's like not going to be able to check the leg kicks and stuff like that this time, like that was literally the reason that he lost the last fight is that his leg got kicked to obliteration. Like he's obviously going to prepare and he's going to like learn how to like check the leg kicks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's the issue with him not fighting is that the game's adapt. Like the game's adapted over the past 5 years since he was fighting regularly. So like he's just been like left behind a little bit. But it'd be interesting to see. Like he might come back and he might just look insane, and everyone will be like, oh mad, like because he is only like 32, 33. Like he's still pretty
Yeah.
much in. Like he's still pretty much at like the peak of his powers.
And
Like
he is regarded as one of the best fighters ever the
yeah, like,
UFC's seen. So he has got the power just to literally bring out of his locker to put off a mad. Bit like the Cowboy fight. Obviously, Cowboy's not quite the
yeah,
fighter as Poirier is, but he just made Cowboy look like
yeah.
nothing.
It's like well, yeah, with Connor, it's like I don't know if he's like considered one of the best fighters of all time, but he's definitely like the most influential. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Oh
no
yeah.
debate. Like, there's no debate in that. Like, he's definitely one of the most influential, and he has probably put on one of, if not the best performance ever seen in mixed martial arts. Like, when he fought Alvarez for the title at 205, like, I've never seen a more perfect performance than that. Like, he literally just made Alvarez look like he didn't deserve, like he shouldn't have been in the UFC. Like, that's how bad he made Alvarez look.
That was the
Like,
however many seconds, wasn't it?
no, that was Aldo at 196. That was for
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's when he knocked him out in 13 seconds. But the Alvarez fight went like it was in like the second round. It was like 8 minutes that fight, but it was just 8 minutes of like McGregor just like landing constantly and Alvarez just not being able to land.
Oh
Like,
okay.
yeah, like um, just as he knocks him out, the commentators go, "Oh, Alvarez is starting to like get into this round," and then like the next thing they're saying is like, "Oh no, he's done, he's done." Like, it was like the perfect fight. It was like, yeah, the best performance I've ever seen. Um, so yeah, I'll take Poirier. I think it's a safe bet. I don't actually think he's the underdog though. I think Conor's the favourite for the bookies, but
Yeah.
but then that's almost like when England playing like a tournament. Like, England are always like, the odds are never great on England because everyone in this country goes out and puts like a cheeky like £10 bet on England. Like, people put like a cheeky like 5 or 10 on Connor because it's Connor, not
It's
because
the name you're paying the money for, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, oh, like people that know nothing about fighting know the name and they're like, oh yeah, I'll put a 5 on him, I'll put a tenner on him. Like, that's all it is. Like, there's very few like circumstances where Connor won't be the favourite in a fight.
Yeah.
Like, Khabib's probably like the only one that I can think of. So yeah, that is my, I don't know if we want to call them predictions or just like my preview of
Yeah.
UFC's.
Predictions, preview.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to talk about the time that we went to watch the event in London and just our weekend away as
I was thinking, looking at the time of it, we should probably leave it for a
for another episode.
like because we were talking about doing episodes of talking about nights out or festivals and stuff, weren't we? So there was some quite funny moments, including a green kebab and a few other things that happened that evening that would fit
Yeah.
quite well into like a story time sort of
We can do
podcast.
that. Get one of the people that went on there. Went with us. There was 10 of us, so I'm sure one of them will want to come on at some point.
Yeah, or even just someone that we've had some nights out with recently. So we got plenty of people that we can get on there with us.
Drag on, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll save that one for another day.
That's right. Well, cheers to everyone. This is episode 4, and again, at the moment we're aiming for sort of weekly, or at least one a week, if not maybe trying to sneak a couple in here and there. So, you got any suggestions, any ideas? Just put them in the comments below. Anything else to say, Spen?
No, it's coming home. That's about it.
It is coming home. We'll end it on that. It is coming home.
My voice at work yesterday was horrendous, mate. I was answering the phone at like 10 o'clock in the morning, like, hello.
To be fair, when I woke up, what day was it?
Wednesday, yeah. It
Wednesday.
was on Tuesday, so yeah. So Wednesday was yesterday.
Woke up Wednesday morning, and I was just like, I drank a Lucasade at 8 in the morning just to get my voice back because I just could not speak. And my driver called me to be on the phone for most of the day, so I was like, this is not going to go down well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if in the next podcast, if you see us in a really good mood, it's probably because it's come home, or it's nearly come home.
Yeah, we'll either be in the final or we'd have been knocked out before that.
Yeah.
Because next Wednesday is the semi, so I imagine we'll be filming on the Thursday. So it'll be the day after we find out if we're in the final or not.
So it could be a very lively, happy podcast. It could be a very sad and depressing podcast, depending on what happens.
Indeed.
But yeah, cheers for it, everyone.
All right.
We'll catch you next week.
All day.